Today I want to discuss archiving videotapes. I've been doing it for years. This particular tape here I bought in 1978 when I got my first VCR, a top-loaded RCA Selectivision with the piano keys. You push them down like an old tape recorder. Cassette recorder, same type of deal. I believe the model was a VCT-201, but I'm not 100% sure. Well, believe it or not, this tape here was bought in 1978, and this is what I have on it. The super fight between Rocky Marciano and Muhammad Ali, which of course never took place, but it was a computerized fight. It was on TV, and I recorded it along with all the commercials. Just for the record, for those of you who doubt the longevity of VHS or any videotape, it all depends on the quality of the tape. There are cheap versions. This particular one, back in 1978, cost me $16. That's right, $16. Tape was pretty expensive when it first came out. Of course, I used to, whenever a show I wanted to save on tape, I'd always cut off from the TV guide the advertisement and place it inside the tape case. But if you take care of your tapes and keep them in the cases, I know so many people that just throw them any old way and don't keep them in the cases. This is back when RCA made quality. This is a heavy cardboard. This is almost like a pressed type of cardboard. It's not this cheap paper crap that they make them out of now. But if you take care of them and store them properly, they'll last a long time. Well, you figure 1978, here it is 2010. Well, anyways, this has been recorded on DVD because I have a little dot that tells me each videotape has a dot represents that it's been placed on DVD. So if you got family stuff, you don't want to throw the tape away just because you put it on DVD. That also goes for 8mm video. When I went from VHS, my next step was 8mm video, which I believe was in 1987. Our wedding, which was in 1986, was done on VHS and is also transferred to DVD. But I never throw the master tape out. Nobody knows how long DVDs last. Nobody knows. They have not time proven all that long compared to videotape. I mean, they could be prone to what they call CD rot. These are nothing more than dyes in here, and the dye changes when the laser hits it and puts the information on. But nobody really knows how long these things last. Some people say 100 years. Well, 100 years from now, none of us will be around to find out if these things really work after. But you got to remember, these things are much more delicate, and you drop them and scratch them, they may not play again. Proper storage is the answer. Always keep CDs, DVDs in their cases, and if possible, store them this way. Keep it on the master and store the master. In addition, In addition to that, I will also put that on DVD. You wouldn't want to depend on your hard drive 20 years from now. I can say one thing, 20 years from now, the hard drives that we have, that we're using in the computers now, are probably not going to work in the future computers. So what happens with all that information that you have stored on your hard drive in 2010, when 2030, of course I'll be long dead before then, comes around, and you've got this hard drive here. I mean, you've yanked it out of your computer 20 years ago. And I got family memories on it. Well, you better back it up on other media because, you know, tape is proven. You're talking a tape that's, what, 32 years old here? That kind of tells you something, doesn't it? Keep it away from magnetic fields. Don't let it get too hot. Store it properly. Who knows how long it'll last? I'm going to touch base on DVD recorders right now. Okay. You got a DVD recorder and a program you want to record comes along. And you're in a hurry, so you put the disc in, and you got to wait for the disc to, you know, format itself to get the disc ready. That usually takes maybe a minute or so. Meanwhile, you want to get this thing started. You're missing the first minute or two of the show. That's if you're in a hurry. Well, if you're in a hurry with a VCR, you turn the VCR on, flip to the channel you want to record, push the tape in, push record, and you're in business. The recorded media, such as stuff that's on flash drive, your flash cards that are in your digital cameras, your hard drives that are in the hard drive camcorders and so forth, will eventually give errors and crash and so forth, or become unreadable. So if you put stuff on this like I do, it's only as a secondary or a third generation. I'm not worried about if something happens, well, okay, it's on here, so what? I've got it on tape, backed up. No recording type of media is permanent. Unless it's chiseled in granite. Everybody's throwing out their VCRs. Well, it's true, DVDs take up a lot less room. But here's another point I want to make. Back in 1978, when I recorded this, I recorded it on an old top-load VCR, as I said, which only had two speeds, a 2-hour mode and a 4-hour mode. This was, I don't recall what speed I recorded this on, but anyways, you got to remember that a videotape will record up to 6 hours or 8 hours, depending on the type of tape. You know how lousy a 6-hour mode looks on a DVD? That's, I think, on a DVD recorder, you set the speed down to 6 hours. It looks pretty crappy. When you set a VCR down to 6 hours, it looks a lot better. Not as good as the 2-hour, but it don't look as bad. 6 hours speed. In other words, 6 hours of video at the slowest speed a VCR will go for a T120 tape versus 6 hours on a DVD. And of course, with the DVD, the data is compressed more and has nothing to do with actual speed. The disc spins at the same rate all the time anyways. But we just call it the 6-hour because you get 6 hours of video. But I'd rather look at 6 hours of video on one VHS rather than to look at 6 hours of video on one home recorded DVD. Well, I think I've covered it. I hope I did. You form your own opinions. But if you want to trash all your VHS tapes, that I'm talking about the ones that are family memories, not talking about just any old thing, TV shows or anything. I'm talking about precious stuff you cannot bring back once it's destroyed. So if you want to take and throw all those tapes out and hope that the DVD that you put it on will last, well, you can do that. But I'll tell you what, I'm hanging on to my master tapes. That is, the precious ones.